Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of Hit Reviews with your host, Arlyeon. On today's episode, I'll be talking about Studio Cheerdealers Hypothermia Survival Horror Distrust. Find out if it gave me warm fuzzies like John Carpenter's The Thing, or if distrust was an abomination for technical reasons. A deathly cold storm swallows an Arctic base, even as the inhabitants struggle to get word out that something has gone terribly awry. Unfortunately for the rescue team, they don't really get proper clarification on the matter, given their journey comes to an abrupt, crashing halt. Which is where you come in, since you're one of the survivors of this crash, tasked with finding out what's going on and stopping it, while trying to avoid dying of starvation, madness, the unrelenting and unforgiving elements, read the frigid fucking cold, and extra-dimensional aberrations wandering the grounds. So, despite my initial intro, that isn't quite like The Thing, despite citing it as inspiration, given the nature of the narrative doesn't really instill the same sense of paranoia about your fellow survivors. Still, I definitely enjoyed learning bits and pieces about what happens through the notes you can find about the base. While I didn't discover a large amount of variance between the bits of lore you can discover between runs, what is there does add to the overall ambience. Gameplay-wise, Distrust is an isometric survival horror which tasks the players in taking a small rescue team through the husks of a polar research facility. At its core, the game boils down to doing what's best to manage their team as they face a slow war of attrition with the environment, needing, balance out the warmth of their team so they don't freeze to death, even as they're tasked with scavenging glacial edifices in search of food, supplies, and even information. That said, it's managing one's sleep that ends up feeling the most stressful at times, if only because of how it's handled within the game. See, when you fail to rest, not only will it diminish your character's vitals, like neglecting to manage the other options, it will also cause your character to develop madness over time, which can cause a number of unfortunate side effects, such as being able to zoom out from your character, hearing incessant laughter, quoting in Shakespeare, and even being unable to hear anything at all while selecting the deranged explorer. Oh, also everything being broken? What you're witnessing here and there of everything being broken, that's a madness. Though everything also tends to be broken the further you get in, so it's just really terrible. That said, the act of giving in to the urge to sleep also has its dangers. Sure, it can allow you to recover from insanity, but it also summons uncanny entities to harangue you, all of which present a very real danger to the well-being of your rescue team, as well as providing a legitimate threat to whatever base camps you've set up. We're talking the ability to drain heat out of your furnaces, burning out generators, and just plunging the area into darkness, as well as homicidal behavior. It makes the management of your time, your resources, and the balance of just how much you're willing to risk with your explorers a legitimate logistic nightmare. And is only compounded by the fact that the randomized nature of the base also applies to the light puzzle solving and exploration components that are tied to how one passes between area to area. Whether it's finding a gate key, some explosives for a door, some wires for a faulty electronic lock, fuel for a snowplow, or other odds and ends, the complications that face a player is randomized with the game. And at least as long as you're playing the game's challenge mode, you're not really clued into what sort of resource the building you're breaking into provides, which can be really stressful when you're searching for food, your members are tired and freezing, and you're needing to choose between doors that are buried in the snow or locked. Adventure mode does hold your hands a bit in that regard, but still, the game does provide you a few ways to narrow down the randomness of what you're facing. See, the various characters you have access to have stats, which emphasize what they're good at enduring, as well as passive abilities, which vary from being able to tolerate the cold or tiredness more efficiently, or options like gaining extra food when you cook with them, or even the ability to bypass the need for tools and quickly break down doors with their bare foot, which is magnificent for quick exploring. Well, provided you unlock them, given that gaining the ability to start with new characters, as well as expanding the amount of team members you can start with, are all tied to acquiring achievements in the game's challenge mode. Oh, and beyond unlocking those, there's some additional replayability for a discerning player, as there's a handful of endings to discover. Also a co-op mode, should mention that. Now, Distrust's audio provides a decent bit of mood music for players to be spooked to as they wander through the base. I also rather enjoy the ambient noise of the environment, even if the creatures and certain madnesses provided more grating audio. Mad laughter. Go fuck yourself. Distrust is also fairly pleasant to look at, so the level designs are simple enough, and you're apt to become acutely familiar with the appearance of the frigid wasteland you're navigating, but I always found it just a lot of fun, really, to discover the deranged variants of the character portraits. Less fun, really, though, when I was signaling that my entire team was about to die, but hey. So to tally all this up, I have to say that I enjoyed my stay with Distrust. The overall mechanics of the game weren't overly complex, but there was still a lot to discover, both in survival strategies, character synergies, and the simple process of finding that fine balance between taking care of your squad and running them ragged into the brink of death and madness. I was also fond of the game's overall ambience, whether it was the graphical or audio details or the more narrative-oriented ones. Overall, I'd say Distrust is a solid hit. Anywho, thanks for tuning in. If you agree, disagree, or just have something to say to me, feel free to comment. And for those folks interested in more indie reviews, developer interviews, podcasts, or a Monday TTRPG content, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you know when there's a new release. There's also a Discord. You can click the link in the banner or the description to become a part of our community, the Crit Hit Cauldron. Lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have a coffee running to help supplement funds for a lovely editor Jack, and to make sure we can continue to provide quality content. Again, check the description in the banner for those links. Anywho, I'll catch you on the next episode of Crit Hit. Take care till then, folks.